Hello, coordinators, leaders, and educators. Welcome from Vienna. This is Leo Thompson. I'm going to give you a little introduction to our forthcoming session with ACES Connections at the end of January. And the question topic, how to help students up Bloom's ladder through the ATL skills of thinking and self-management. So I thought it might be helpful just to walk you through just a few slides and give you a sort of taster of the session and what to expect. So it is firmly anchored on the insights from the learning sciences. That's a broad spectrum of fields based on education, psychology, cognitive sciences, neurosciences, about how we learn and how we can maximize that in this very distracting, attention-seeking world. And what I want to do is kind of explain to you how we can work with teachers and also facilitate students in this session based on this research, but also my practical experience of working with schools and doing student workshops and teacher workshops in various locations around the world. I thought it might be helpful for you just to see the linkage and the connections and the relevance. This broad field of learning to learn can be mapped into thinking skills, breaking that down into those different areas and self-management skills, but also other areas in the ATLs and very much so also with the learner profile. So it's very relevant to the IB's philosophy and the IB's core and what the IB is trying to achieve in equipping these young people to be able to navigate and face this world successfully. We talk a lot about engagement in education, and we'll focus to some degree on this in this session, but particularly on agentic engagement, which is very much where the child is learning to drive their learning, take greater ownership and greater control. We talk a lot about student voice, student choice in education, which is very important, but also we're talking about equipping them and empowering them to have greater control of their learning. Some of the tools we'll discuss is this one, as it directly refers to Bloom. Bloom's now 70 years plus model, which is very useful for planning assessment and different types of tasks, but actually can also be very useful when working with students so they can understand the type and the nature of the learning and the knowledge that they're trying to acquire. But we also can use it as a tool for them to reflect on how they're learning and for teachers to work with this with greater intentionality to develop the metacognitive skills of students. They become more self-aware of the knowledge and how they're learning and connecting it and linking it. So these are still very useful tools today, and we'll discuss this together. And then what is the role of an educator now? We've always talked about direct teaching, explicit teaching, obviously with the IB as an inquiry-based model, but we're combining these different areas. And as educators, we have to wear these different hats and know when to switch, how to differentiate. So if we're going to help children become more self-directed learners through the ATL, then we have to think about what the teacher's position is and how they're supporting and motivating these students to do that with various techniques and tactics that they can use in the classroom. So my background is very much still a teacher in disguise, I say when I come to these workshops. I've worked in international education for many years as an IB teacher, as an IB coordinator, and as an IB head. For 5 years, I worked for the Council of International Schools in school development and accreditation as part of their team, and for several years as head of educational partnerships for I Can Study. I'm incredibly passionate about the areas of learning in a humanistic context of well-being, but how can we support these young people to take greater ownership of their learning? And I really look forward to having this discussion around the ATLs and sharing some insights and inviting you also to comment in this session in later January. So please do come along or send your colleagues And thank you so much for your time and for your attention. And I wish you all the best for 2026.